All right, everyone. There are a bunch of protests planned today for the No Kings movement, as they call it. About 2,500 of them, actually. Sounds impressive now, doesn't it? Till you figure out the number of people that are going to be at each particular demonstration. I have no doubt that some of them, in places like large cities, Chicago, certainly Portland, places that tend to lean left, they'll be bigger. And the legacy media is going to show you footage later today of these larger gatherings. They're not going to show you is that most of these individual demonstrations are going to be a few dozen people, maybe 100 at most. They're not going to show you that because when you tally it all up, it's actually fairly underwhelming. It reminds me a little bit of a dumbed down version of the Pink Pussy Hat movement. You remember that? After Hillary Clinton lost in 2016, you had all those people doing primal scream therapy and shit. By the way, I mean, vintage actual pink pussy hat minted by the Hillary Clinton campaign and signed by Hillary herself. Someday will probably be worth a lot of money. If leftoids understood finances and economic issues, they'd probably hold on to them a little bit longer. Hmm, we be clanking. Anyways, later today, there's actually one of these demonstrations planned for here in Rutland. So I'm probably going to show up with a Trump flag. I'm just going to sit there. I'm not even going to say anything. They were generally respectful when I saw them before. And so Vermont does it a little bit differently. You don't have like the Portland Antifa sort of thing that really goes on here. Mostly because most Vermonters are strapped at any given time, so people tend to be a little bit more respectful, despite the fact that most of them are on the left, politically speaking. The state is blue. Rutland, of course, is the swing state county of the actual state, and so I feel perfectly fine and safe doing so. Yeah, you probably wouldn't want to do that in Burlington. You might get a beat down. Then you just go full Fight Club mode and encourage them to beat you fucking more, just as a joke. It'd be hilarious. But the movement itself isn't really a movement. That's the whole thing. This is nothing more than posturing. Many of these people cannot identify any particular qualm that they even have about Donald Trump. In my brief, speaking to them. For example, actually found myself tacitly agreeing with them with regards to the right of free expression. So I'm like, yeah, you have the right to stand on this street corner. You're not impeding anyone, so people can walk freely to and fro. You're not causing any problems. You're not damaging cars. You're not burning anything down. Yeah, of course it's protected speech. You absolutely have that right. The irony, though, is that the expression that they're expressing nullifies their own central argument. They're arguing that Donald Trump is trying to silence everyone and brutalize and tyrannize people, and he's, oh my God, he's weaponizing the federal bureaus that were already weaponized, by the way, that he's also trying to shrink at the same time, literally giving up his own power in the process, supposedly. None of this makes sense. How can he be a tyrant if some of the main acts that he's actually acted on is to reduce government power? How is he trying to be a king when he has to go around even his own Republicans in the legislature, not to mention judicial authority, as well as the Senate with its filibuster, potentially, depends on the case, of course. How is he being a king? If anything, he's simply mocked constantly by people who can't identify, in many cases, a single issue on which they disagree with him on. Now, there are shortcomings in the Trump administration, let's be frank. I wish that he would focus more on internet free speech. I believe in it absolutely and fully. I believe that corporations need to be reined in their ability to police U.S. citizens and lawful residents' ability to speak about especially political issues. This free flow of information is exceptionally important. The irony is that the one person who actually mentioned doing something like that, and I hope that he follows through, I'm going to be talking tomorrow about my slight disappointment with regards to 230, for example, Article 230 in the Internet Bill of Rights. Those are the first thing that Trump actually talked about when he launched his campaign. Mild disappointment. I'll give him more time. I realize that immigration is more of a pressing issue for the average person. That and the economy, which thankfully has been generally shored up. And I'll see people, part of the like the No Kings thing or some adjacent movement. They'll be like, "Well, why haven't the prices gone down? No, my eggs are too expensive." No shit. But you didn't hear that from the legacy media for 4 years when those prices were rising. You're only hearing about it now. Now, a new dude is in charge, the legacy media doesn't like him, and so naturally everything is his fault. This is, again, that thankless job sort of proposition. Trump absolutely is going to get blame for high prices, for, any sort of diplomatic problem that happens, because the buck stops there. It does not matter that the prior administration was fundamentally responsible for most of these problems, and that Trump is trying to tack in the other direction, but it takes time. Your ship is headed towards a whirlpool. It's going to take time to turn the ship to try to move away from the whirlpool. That's what Trump is trying to do. It takes effort and it takes time. So I don't understand the No Kings movement. Where did Trump try to declare himself a king? How is he acting like a king? He's constantly getting roadblocks put in his way, even by his own party. I wouldn't worry about him becoming a tyrannical dictator anytime soon. We'll leave that up to Baron Trump in like 30 years or something like that. It'd be hilarious since the kid's like fucking 6'6" or something like that. He's basically Fetterman mode, only without the brain damage. Fetterman being one of the more intelligent Democrats, so that's also hysterical to me. The movement, though, it's not a movement so much as it is just we hate Trump. It's basically just TDS on display when you think about it. If you cannot actually give me two or three good reasons why you dislike Trump so much or think he's going to be dictatorial, what are you exactly protesting about? Is it your right? Yeah, of course. It's also my right to stand on the street corner, waving hot dogs around and saying gibberish. It doesn't mean that I'm conveying anything of meaning. I'm allowed to do it. It's perfectly legal. It doesn't even have to be part of a protest or anything like that. I'm just sitting there wiggling my wiener around in a strange manner. Perfectly legal. I can smear ketchup on my face and say, look, I'm a redskin now. Haha, isn't that funny, officer? Nobody's going to do anything about it. But the thing is, I'm not really conveying any particular message. When these people repeatedly have been confronted on why they don't like Donald Trump, typically it's Epstein files, which I tacitly agree should be released, by the way. Trump Epstein connection. Price is still too high, despite the fact that you haven't had enough of a deflationary cycle to actually compensate for those prices. Again, it takes time, and Trump doesn't magically control the entire economy any more than, by the way, Biden did. Hell, he can't even control his bowels these days. And so on. But these are either meaningless issues, have no direct adjacency to anything Trump has done, or they can't even mention an issue at all. They just don't like Trump simply because he has an R after his name or something like that. A lot of it is partisan politics, and it's the same sort of showboating that you saw before. So what you're going to get is a day of rage, day of action. Their ostensible leadership has said, at least, please don't be violent. It probably won't become violent on the eastern seaboard. If it's Portland or something like that, that can get a little bit dicey. Or Chicago, someplace like that in the Rust Belt states. In those places, leftoids act with more impunity because the attorney generals and so forth refuse to prosecute them. Differential enforcement as usual. Here, you will actually get prosecuted. Vermont does it a little bit different with regards to tolerance for bullshit. We'll put it that way. So yeah, I'll probably drag the Trump flag out there, have a good time. If you happen to be in the Rutland area, you might see them. I think they're going to be like right outside of the Grand Union area. I think that was the corner that they were on before. I think basically right next to the park, on the corner of the park. Everyone in Rutland knows what that is. It's the typical protest spot too. You see political demonstrations and stuff like that all the time, actually, in that general vicinity, because it's at the crux of Main Street and the main route north-south, of course, Route 4, Route 7, and so that's where you're going to get the most attention. I'm wondering if anyone's going to honk the horn at me for waving the Trump flag. Probably someone will do some coal rolling or something like that. Anything can and does happen, and it'll be funny. They have the right to express themselves. I have the right to express myself as a form of counter demonstration as well. And nobody's allowed to tell me that I'm not allowed to do that. In Vermont, do not believe you need a permit for any of this. Some states you have to get this like a fucking protest permit, but really, if you're one person, it's not really a protest. You're not part of any organized group of people, so it doesn't really apply in the state of Vermont. So it's a little bit better. I know over in California, you have to suck Gavin Newsom's cock in order to speak about anything. Yeah, it's a little bit different here on the Eastern Seaboard. That's about all. Peace out.